Who's the guy with all the dirt on Hollywood's biggest scandals?
I'm AJ Benza, and I'll flip you. Heads I win, tails you lose.
What does he know?
Let me tell you something. You haven't lived until you've been thrown out of an orgy for being too funny.
Sometimes you gotta go to an author, TV host, and bigger-than-life personality to learn. Fame is a bitch.
I get tons of emails, tweets, tons of stuff on Facebook and Instagram from people who really like what we do here at this podcast. And I want to thank you all for the feedback. And the answer to the question I get most is, yes, I am going to make the shows longer. Look, I'd love to do a show every damn day. But at the moment, I've got too much on my plate. But keep giving me 5-star reviews on iTunes and keep spreading the word, and there's no telling where this will lead all of us. But let me tell you how this podcast started. I got a buddy who produces this show, Mike Agavino. We went to school together. We've known each other since Little League football at 11 or 12 years old. I was on the Red Raiders. He was on the Golden Bears. I still remember. I had no idea I'd run into Mike again after college and after we had our first marriages, and he ends up living a mile away from me. And we got to talking, what are you up to? And I started telling him about, I'd love to do a podcast one day. And he goes, oh, man, I'm kind of in that business. We're putting a company together, Workhouse Connect, and let me hear what you got. Now, Mike had no idea the insane life I'd led after high school. I mean, he heard snippets, but didn't really get it. In fact, I learned from Mike that when I went back to the 20 or 30-year reunion, I forget which one it was, I went back thinking like I thought like who the hell I was. I wore leather pants and a kind of a thin sweater with kind of like see-through. I thought I was big shit. And it turns out my friends who I went to school with were looking at me going, what the fuck happened to this guy? I didn't know that. I'm looking at them going, damn, I wish I was back home in Long Island with these guys. I love these guys. I miss these guys. So we both were thinking different things. Anyhow, Mike and the guys kind of all said, you know, he's flying high now, but he's going to crash. He's going to go down. And I did. And I'm very thankful that Mike and other guys like Kenny Wood and Mike Gallagher, and there's a bunch of them, that they've all been around to pick me back up. I thought we'd have a nice break in between the holidays, in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, where there'd be a moratorium with rounding up sex abusers and harassers, molesters, pedophiles. But it turns out the media has turned up the heat, and social media has gone off its rocker with accusations. There's labelings, firings, roundups, rumors. Since we last spoke, Richard Branson, Matt Lauer, Russell Simmons, Garson Keillor have all been hoisted on their own petards. Brilliant careers tainted. Great journalism ended. Erased. Jobs lost. And in my case, maybe a little smear from the likes of Tom Arnold. Yes, Tom Arnold. Thrice divorced, former substance-abusing, maniacal conspiracy theorist, and all-around great guy otherwise, placed my name in a ludicrous theory he posted onto Twitter over the holiday. And that didn't make the turkey go down any easier, let me tell you. Tom Arnold, the man whose acting I loved in True Lies. But that's exactly what he spread about me recently. He spread a true lie. I'm going to get him on the phone in a minute, and he's going to explain himself. And the beautiful thing with Tom is, the more he talks, the smarter we all get. This is Fame is a Bitch.
I spend a lot of time in the backyard, and in '09 it was me, your fire pit, that accidentally started a wildfire when one of my embers landed on dry brush.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com, brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
So imagine my shock when I see Tom Arnold saying to his 167,000 Twitter followers that I knew some really deep, dark shit about Donald Trump. And he was talking about me working for a tabloid, that I was paid a lot of money to keep some bad Trump stories quiet. And he said this with such conviction, his followers attacked me by the second. Apparently, according to Tom, there are some secret tapes that will show America what Trump's all about and what a fraud he is and how all of our lives are at risk as we speak. And according to tweets I read, I have those damning tapes. And according to him, it's the whole connection between Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted pedophile, the story of Trump maybe possibly allegedly ordering up a 13-year-old girl from one of Epstein's parties. I'll never buy that story. I know the women Trump went after. It's a skyline of ball-aching, beautiful women. We crossed swords a couple times, so I know. But for whatever reason, on Friday, Tom just went after it. He wrote, and I quote, "I'm over the fence, out on a limb, without a net, busted and disgusted because Trump and company cannot be trusted. I pushed all my chips into the pile. A.J. Benza did support him along with 62 million others, but now it's crystal clear they bet a lame horse, and a lame horse has only one fate." He believes, for whatever reason, I have a tape of Trump roughing up Melania on an elevator. How he just connected me to that, I have no clue. When I called him and asked him, all he could say was, "You're a good guy, man. I know you're a good guy, but every time I look into shit with Trump or Harvey Weinstein, your name pops up. It just keeps popping up." Basically, Tom threw darts at the fact that since I worked for Radar Online, which is owned by David Pecker's AMI, he believes me and Pecker, who I've never met, by the way, conspired to get that tape and lock it up so nobody could see it. Now, don't forget, many months ago, Tom also said that Hillary Clinton begged him to release tapes he claimed he had of Trump using horrible language, including the N-word, on the set of The Apprentice. That tape never appeared either. And now he's alleging there's another tape of kind of like a Ray Rice type of violence on an elevator between Donald Trump and Melania. And because of this insanity, I got calls from the Times, the Wall Street Journal, New York Magazine. Like I said, I don't know Pecker, but I'll tell you a little secret why Tom and his lefty pals are really going to lose it soon. Pecker's possible next endeavor, he wants to buy Time Inc.'s weekly titles. That's Time, Sports Illustrated, People. Pecker was looking for a deep-pocketed partner to make this happen, and recently the Koch brothers decided to inject $650 million from their private equity arm into the bid that ended up being an all-cash transaction of around $3 billion to scoop up that property. One way of reading the appearance of the Koch brothers suddenly in this deal is that it fits a pattern that is now emerging in which Trump and his administration are actively attempting to rearrange the landscape of media ownership. On top of this story is the Justice Department's lawsuit to block the $85 billion merger of AT&T and Time Warner. So Tom and his liberal pals are going to go ballistic soon. But let me get him on the phone right now before the heart attack. Direct from Beverly Hills, Tom Arnold. This is Fame is a Bitch.
Hello.
My man, it's AJ. How are you,
Hey,
Tom?
buddy. I'm good. How are you doing, brother?
Are you okay? Last time we talked, you said you were in the nursery doing some baby.
Oh, my God,
What's
yes.
going on?
Well, she, Quitty, woke up, and as I tried to rock her back to sleep because I didn't know if she'd slept long enough, but she would have none of it.
Yeah.
So I was in there. She was piling stuffed animals on me, and I couldn't talk.
Now, I know you worked, you and your wife worked really hard to make babies. I know that.
Oh, yes.
And I applaud you for all the work you've done. But it is the best thing ever, right? I mean, come on.
It is.
I opened the show explaining, what's happening and what you had kind of put out there on Twitter. And by the way, I thank you for the new 1,000 followers. Whether they'll stay with me, I don't know. But look, this is all interesting stuff because we've become a culture of people who are obsessed with video and audio, and we've been finding out the dark side of people, and it's fascinating. I get it. But I want to know how this whole thing began with, I think you're saying that I had the tape or know about the tape of Donald Trump roughing up Melania, and because I had worked for David Pecker's AMI publications, that they hired me to kind of keep me and the tape safe. But just go ahead and say what it is you thought initially.
Well, okay, as you know, and you've been around a long time, we hear things, and you hear things, and you hear about tapes, and I'm sure you've heard about many tapes. And,
sure.
I don't believe you've seen anything, but in your time on the streets, in your time there, you heard about many things involving whether it be Donald Trump and you've heard things about Donald Trump,
sure,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and, we hear these things, and, we hear in passing, and we know people. I know David Pecker. He's friends with Arnold Schwarzenegger and a lot of people in Hollywood, and I've met him, and I've been, and I'm very, very aware of what he does, and we have some of the same lawyers, and I know how he operates. I'm very familiar with the National Enquirer. My ex-wife and I sued them, and the way they operate their their business, the way he operates. He gets stuff on people, and then he gets them to cooperate. That's just a quid pro. In Hollywood,
I understood.
And this is true. I mean, I'm not telling you something you don't know. You get something on people, then they do an interview or they do your TV show.
Absolutely, we know that.
And that's always been business as usual. And now when it cuts over into politics, because Donald Trump started in entertainment. Well, he started business, but he got into entertainment. And then there's an overlap, and I think and I know you were friends with Harvey Weinstein,
sure,
you worked with him for years. And I have to say this about AJ. AJ is a very beloved. He's an old school. He, from Howard Stern to all the people, from Sylvester Stallone to people that I know well.
Right.
When you say AJ, people smile because, But you, can I say that you were a fixer?
I have fixed situations for very famous people, Harvey being one of them, not about raping anybody, that's for fucking sure, but I have fixed things for Stallone, for Mel Gibson, for Scott Rudin, for Joel Silver. I could go on and on. I've done that, and I understand it. So I'm not embarrassed by that accusation whatsoever. I've never fixed anything for Donald Trump. Swear to God. Because, wait. Let me back that up. Years ago, years ago when I was a journalist from 1990 to 97 at the Daily News, Trump would give the column stories on other people, and we'd print those stories as long as we paid Trump back in a way that we mentioned his new building or his new girlfriend, what have you. So go ahead.
Right. And we also know there are people that have fixed things for Donald Trump.
Absolutely. I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I think is really interesting about you and this whole week and this conversation is, because there needs to be a conversation, with the Harvey Weinstein stuff, it was, the fun of games, he's an asshole, he's a dick, and then all of a sudden, he's a rapist. Now, that's a different ballgame, and I think you and I would agree.
Fuck yeah.
That even for you, when you say, he called, there's a woman that saw me at the store, and he's got a girlfriend in London, I'm taking care of that. That's a different story.
A year before this stuff broke in the Times, before Ronan Farrow wrote it, Harvey took me to the peninsula and said, I need your help. They're doing a hit piece on me. And I said, what's it about? And he goes, they're making me out to be crazy and this. And we had a plan of how I might be able to help him. But this is when he thought the New York Magazine was doing it. It was early. He said, I'll be in touch. He never got back in touch with me. And listen, Tom, he was going to pay me $20,000 a month to snuff shit out. And I said, I'll be there, boss. Never got back to me. Thank God, because if he had told me what it was about, that he raped Annabella Sciorra, who I know very well, or Lawrence Savan, who I know very well, I would never have stepped foot. I got a daughter. I'm married. I wouldn't have fucking helped him for raping chicks. But I thought it was I thought he was getting bad pub for whatever. But thank God he didn't reach out. But he did call me. And then when things broke, and this is something I said 2 weeks ago, when Ronan Farrow's brilliant story broke, Harvey texted me and wrote, help me. And that's when I said to him, have you ever been molested by a rabbi or a bad uncle? Because you need to bring that story to the forefront if you want any sympathy one day, ever. And he said, yes, that did happen. I'm going to work on it, and I'll get that. You're right. I'm breaking down, thinking about it. So I broke that story about him being molested. Not to say he deserves any kind of credit or a parade. The guy's going to go to jail, and I think he deserves to. But for many years, I was friendly with Harvey, and I liked the guy. I don't want to say love, but Harvey was great. Harvey made great movies. But I don't know but I never loved Donald Trump. I entertained his phone calls. He was a media guy. We had a column. He loved talking to us. He loved telling stories about people. And then when we both dated the same girl, as you may or may not know, I threatened to kill him and the whole thing. And then I apologized. And I said to him one day, are you really serious about this president thing? He said, yeah, I want to give back to the country. I said, okay, I'm going to vote for you because I fucking hate Hillary Clinton. I said, I'm going to vote for you. But as long as you're telling me it's on the up and up. And I got to tell you, Tom, I know it's not easy telling Hollywood that you voted for Donald Trump. I like several of his ideas and policies to keep America the way it is. There's a lot I don't like about him. But I swear to fucking God, I'm a no player in this. I don't have a videotape of him roughing up Melania on an elevator. But the story that you're saying is not unfounded. People have said this thing exists. So I want to bring that to the forefront. You're not the only one who said this to me. Okay?
Yep.
So where did you hear it?
Well, first of all, just so we know that our amateurs, what would be the process if someone said a person that worked in his building that was, you know how the guys that get the elevator stuff, they had a Jay-Z elevator thing, they had the Ray Rice.
Yeah.
And this I think would have been about the timeline of the Ray Rice thing. Who would they contact at let's say Radar?
I would think Radar or any one of those tabloids, as you know, are owned by David Pecker.
Yeah.
Okay, now, and you and I spoke yesterday, and Dylan Howard got on the phone. Dylan Howard got on the phone to me and said, "What's this all about?" You know, Tom Arnold's telling people. I said, "Dylan, Tom Arnold told me that you sold me out." Look. You
told him that?
No, well, you come on. Listen, you told me that he's giving links to people about what. Look, it doesn't.
I don't care.
Doesn't fucking matter. If Donald Trump roughed up Melania, I don't want the fucking thing to go away. I want shit to change if that's what he did. However, you're right. If there was a video of this in an elevator, then there are people in every walk of life who know where to go to, because every tabloid says, if you have a tip, call us and we'll pay you. So, of course, you can call anybody at Radar. Dylan is the editor-in-chief of a lot of those magazines. You know, David Pecker happens to own a monopoly of those magazines. So, would you have a bidding? Would you go to Harvey Levin and have him and his partner Jason or whoever come over to your lawyer's place and look at the footage first? Would you start a bidding situation? Bidding war? Would you go back and forth? Yeah. Would you start a bidding thing if you had access, if you were, say, a lawyer in L.A.? I've never done this, but I think if you had a tape like that, you know that you're never going to work again. So it's got to be, you've got to get enough. No, you've got to know. Right. You've got to sell this for the amount of money that's going to keep you out of work and happy at home for at least 3 to 5 years, so you can figure out your life again. It ain't going to be $100,000. It's got to be a couple of million. It's got to be. Right. Okay. Right. So you know that I was making at Radar $300 a day, 3 days a week. So for $900 a week, I wasn't hiding the goods on the president roughing up his wife. However, right. I believe you. Okay. Yeah. If somebody has this tape, like the Jay-Z tape surface and the Ray Rice tape surface, then I would think, obviously, they would go to either the tabloids that are owned by David Pecker, or they would go to an Access Hollywood, or anybody at the top of the chain at NBC, or, you know, you've got to find the guy with the balls big enough to say, we're taking this tape on and we're going to fucking end this guy's presidency. Right. I'm not saying the tape doesn't exist. I'm not. I've actually, a girl right before I got here texted me, Ashley such and such, she works for Gawker. And months ago, she said, do you know anything about a tape of Donald Trump? And I said, no, never heard that. And then Ashley Feinberg? Yeah. And just now, as I'm walking in the studio, she goes, I talked to Tom today. I said, holy shit, you're the person who told this to me months ago. So honestly, it's a story that's out there. Yeah. I don't know. Look, I don't know him to be rough. I know Donald Trump to be, I know him to be a tough guy. I know anybody that hangs around with people who work in cement and rebar and glass and concrete, they're tough guys. He's not Obama. He's not an orator. He's a fucking street guy who became president. But I don't know about this tape existing. But there is a story out there. And I tend, most of my life, because of what I've done in gossip, I tend to normally believe there's a kernel of truth to the rumors you hear. Right. Now, having said that, answer me this question. Is there a kernel of truth to you stealing Roseanne Barr's money that she hid in her house before the divorce? Because that was out there. Well, I had money in a shoebox that I took to, but that was while we were married. I took to Harry Winston to buy her a ring.
but as you know, I wish that were true. But as you know, in a marriage, you can't. There's no money. There's no like loose because you have a business manager. But I wish I would have.
You mentioned a shoebox. It couldn't have meant a lot of money for unless you have it size 19 shoes.
You could jam a lot. It wasn't enough to buy the Diamond Harry which I wanted. But there's always. I'll cop to. I've done some bad things, but I wish I would have done that. But I don't think in a marriage you could get away with that because you're so, especially when you have a business manager, everything is so documented, which is why this Trump thing is interesting with this video, because if you look back at the campaign donations, because the story is that it went for auction last fall after the Republican convention, and that TMZ was interested in it, but then suddenly a big bidder came and took it, and then if you look at the campaign donations to Trump in the fall of 2016, you see an unusual $1.25 million donation from a gentleman that people would recognize his name. And you say to yourself, I think in the New York Times 2016, October 15th, you could read about that. It's an unusual number.
Who's the guy?
Peter Thiel.
Oh, I know, of course, Peter Thiel with the whole.
Yeah, but is that an unusual number? I know I'm crazy, but that's a random. Like if you're a billionaire, are you going to give $1 million or $2 million? Why 1.25? What is that? Some sort of? That's a random. And why right before the election? Right when everything's kind of and why with Trump's self-financing? And why, it's just, but that's just me. I'm crazy. But you know what? He is a guy that would do something. He is the guy that brought down Gawker. He is the guy that does these crazy things. But that's just me. I'm crazy. But that's how, I read into things, and I'm sure it's just me being crazy.
I don't know, Tom. Look, Peter Thiel's got more fuck you money than you and I will ever imagine in our lives, okay? He took down Gawker. He said, fuck you. You're going to out me. You're fucking dead. And I love him for that gangster shit. Now, having said that, there are people that give money to presidential campaigns or senatorial campaigns. Let me tell you. You were a John Kerry guy. You were throwing money at John Kerry several years ago when John was running. You were John.
Course.
Okay, fine. I can't tell you the sleuthing. No big deal. The amount of money I've seen given to from movie stars and big time Hollywood people to Al Franken. It is.
Sure, of course.
Well, what?
Of course.
Okay, why? He's a fucking Minnesota senator. Why is Lorne Michaels giving tens of thousands? Nancy Sinatra, tens of thousands.
Because it's show business. He's there. You got Lorne Michaels. You know why Lorne Michaels was. He was his boss for years.
But what don't I fucking know? What do they need him in the Senate? Why is he going to be president one day?
He's not now. After these last couple weeks.
I don't even think he did something so fucking bad, to be honest with you. He did some funny pictures.
Right.
Who gives a shit? But why does the celebrity clientele in Hollywood, why do they give that kind of money to a guy like Al Franken? What do they get in return, Tom?
That's a really good question, because he's not for lowering taxes.
Exactly.
He's for, so it doesn't. So why do I give money to Democrats? Why do I give money to liberals when it just hurts my bottom line? It's because I'm a good fucking person. Everybody that's giving money to Trump just to get their taxes lowered, the billionaires and the millionaires, are not doing it to make America better. They're doing it to make more money. They don't give a shit about the poor people that are struggling. And that's the truth, AJ, and you know it.
No, well, look, let me tell you this. You have enjoyed a marvelous career. I give you a lot of credit. You came on the scene. People want to make jokes about marrying into Roseanne. Fuck it. You're a talented guy. You're funny as hell. I've enjoyed you on television and on movies. You're a great personality, and the Tom Arnold brand to me is fun, and I'm on your side. So I love it. But
yes,
a guy like me, I don't make $1 million a year. I don't donate. I don't give money to political campaigns. Now, I never have. But I'll tell you, the way I pick presidents is I kind of feel the way the country's going. I voted for Bill Clinton twice. I voted for Obama the first time, not the fucking second time when that motherfucker showed what his colors were. And I said, Trump is the guy.
That sounded terrible, AJ.
No, I don't give a. No, I don't mean his color. I mean,
You didn't know he was black the first time?
It's funny. I'm Sicilian. I can say that. I felt that he was just a smooth operator. But Trump, as much as he's a jerk off and a goofball and a fucking roughneck, and I get it.
Well, what about Roy Moore?
Roy Moore. Right now, the stories about him are atrocious, and I'd be the first guy to stand in line and punch him in the fucking mouth because I have a 13-year-old daughter. But I want to see proof, just like every Democrat wants to see proof of Al Franken.
Oh, no, I don't want to see proof of Al Franken. I believe all the women. I believe every woman. That's what I do. I grew up in a place of abuse. I believe every woman that talks about Roy Moore, and my first instinct, anybody comes forward, is to believe them. And I have a bond with them. I don't give a shit if you're a Republican or Democrat. Fuck you. If you abuse women or men, get the fuck out of here.
I think you're right, Tom. And you know what? I think you're right. The only thing I think this country lacks, and we got to be careful, is every day in the papers there is an announcement of who got charged with sexual harassment, and before we can find out the facts, the guy's going to lose his career. I know Jeremy Piven. I know David Blaine. I know so many of these guys very well. Can we find out what happened before they lose their next $1 million gig?
But do you really know that? Do we really know them? I mean, AJ, there's been people, and I believe you did love Harvey Weinstein. I believe you guys were friends.
I don't love him.
And people,
it was a buddy. I didn't love him.
People find out their fathers were fucking serial killers, and they loved them their whole life, and they're like, oh, my God, we don't really know what people do. But I feel, this is my thing, right now we have to go hard on this fucking sexual abuse, sexual harassment, and there are going to be some victims. Some men are going to suffer because of it, but that's the way it goes, and it's going to even out eventually. But right now, the tide is turning for women, and we need to support those women. And the way I feel about the women in Alabama when I see them on TV is, as men, and I know you're a man's man too. You're like,
yeah,
shit,
but I love women. I love women.
I know,
man.
But when you hear a woman talk about being abused, your first thought is, oh shit, I wish I'd have been there to fucking defend her. And I'm saying, and here's the thing: when they come forward years later and talk about it, that's our chance to fucking defend them right now, in this moment. Be on their side.
I think you're probably right a greater percentage of the time than you're wrong, and not you, but the public in general. I generally believe everything these women have had to say about men I even know and don't know. I believe them. I know Annabella Sciorra. I know if she said Harvey pushed my door in and raped me, she ain't lying.
Right.
I believe it. And having known Harvey as a bully and a tough fucking Jew, I get it. The guy gets what he wants, and he's not used to hearing no. So,
by the way, he's not a tough fucking Jew. Fuck him. A tough Jew doesn't beat, and I'm speaking as a tough Jew. We don't fucking beat up women and rape women. That has nothing to do with toughness.
Okay, listen. What do we do going forward? Because, look, here's the thing. I got people from, like I said, Wall Street Journal, New York Times. Everybody's going, what is Tom Arnold saying about you? And I said, look, I don't have any fucking tapes of Donald Trump. I live moderately. Tom, I don't have $1 million in the bank. And if I had a tape that showed Donald Trump roughing up Melania, I'd be sitting pretty for a while. I don't. Have you seen this tape, or are you just convinced it exists?
I have not seen it personally. People say they have. I think that what you're smart to do is just build the whole chain of command of this tape. And what I assume, and tell me if you're right here, tell me if I'm right here, this you can help me with. When there is a tape like this, and people sell it, and people end up passing it along, and let's say David Pecker was the middleman between, let's say, a Peter Thiel and whatever, you know he kept the copy. Would it be your experience to assume each person along the way kept the copy?
Yeah. Look, Mike Medavoy has copies of Marlon Brando teaching acting class naked, before he died. So, yeah, people keep shit. I get it.
So that's what we need to see, and I think that's what people are close to, and they're close to figuring that out. I want to say one last thing about Donald Trump. This is a defense. You defended him. You said he's not into little girls, and your friend who dated him, who had terrible experiences with him, but she defended him. I think it was that girl that you both liked.
My ex-girlfriend, Cara Young, did not have horrible experiences with him. She's my friend. She's one of my, may I say, my best female friend outside of my wife. She knows a lot about Donald, but there's nothing about her and her experience with him that points to him liking little girls. Fuck no.
Right.
That woman is a beautiful ex-super fucking model. There's nothing little about her.
No, that's what I mean. Is she defended that? She said she knows things that could take him down, but not about little girls.
No, she said that there's a side to Donald, like anybody, any powerful person. There are sides to powerful people that the public is not ready to hear. I don't have any examples of that, but the point is that powerful men like Donald in business, in politics, in Hollywood, there's a side to them that we don't see. Now, if you're going to jump to conclusion and say that side is loving little girls, well, I don't agree with that.
I never said that.
Well, no, the people think the Jeffrey Epstein, the 13-year-old girl bullshit. Listen, and there are guys that I'm very close to that I know have a predilection for younger girls. I'm telling you the truth. I don't know.
Who's that?
You don't know the guys. You don't know the guys. But they're not famous. But I know that Donald, his thing has always been pinups, Playboy, Playmates, penthouse pets, supermodels. Nothing about his life points to a little girl.
No,
it doesn't. It doesn't.
Teenagers, but not little.
I don't even think I've never seen him with a teenager. I don't know where that exists, where you get that from. But I'm not going to spend my life defending the guy. No. I've never seen an example of it. And let me tell you something. If I found proof that there was that example, I'd be the first fucking guy to say it out loud and let my career be damned from that point on, because I know that Tom Arnold will support me with Roseanne Barr's money.
I wish I had it. We're both fucked. That Jeffrey Epstein, though, that guy's a scumbag. Am I right?
Dude, this motherfucker, little St. James Island and the British. St. James, by the way, is a patron saint of suffering. So how's that for irony? He's got people, listen, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, they've flown on that Lolita Express. Donald Trump, too. Now, Steven Spielberg's been on that fucking plane and has went to Little St. James. What the fuck goes on there? I can tell you horror stories about what
Kushner's dad.
Yep. Listen, I know you haven't heard my podcast in its entirety, but for the last 5 or 6 weeks, bro, I've been uncovering the pedophiles and the sexual monsters, and I've been destroying Jeffrey Epstein. Okay?
Yeah.
So if Trump has anything to do outside of being, he's a friend of mine, yeah, man, I'll fucking pull him down. I will. I swear on my kids, I'll do it.
Well, let's get on that.
All right.
Hey, I know you will. You're a good man, and I hope. I think that this has been a great experience for everybody.
It is. Let me ask you a question. I didn't know you fell off the wagon. Are you now 50 days clean? I've read that on Twitter. You okay?
No, I'm okay. You know what happened? I'm going to tell you very honestly. When I was a kid, I've talked about this honestly. I was raped by a babysitter when I was 4 years old, 4 to 7, and as my son was coming up on his 4th birthday, Dr. Drew and some other people said, "Oh, watch out for that."
Really?
And I couldn't. I was having trouble sleeping, and I started taking benzos.
I get it.
And I got hooked on them.
I get it.
I ended up having to go to a place and work on that and work on my trauma and to deal with my childhood. Because, when you see your son and he's the age of you can't believe that someone did those things to you because your son is so perfect. And in your mind you think, well, maybe I was a bad kid. Maybe there's something wrong with me. But then you see your son, you realize, oh, no, I was perfect. I was a sweet little boy, and those heinous things happened to me. And it's sometimes too much to take.
Can't imagine it. My buddy that we write screenplays together, it happened to him when he was an early teenager. He didn't tell me until into his 50s. And I had no idea that this kind of shit happens to people. So if you had to fucking take a few handfuls of pills, don't worry about it. But I want to be able to see you and have a drink or something.
Yeah, let's do it. I drink a lot of water. Let's get together.
Hey, listen, water with vodka is fine with me. I'll do that with you.
There you go, brother.
All right, brother. I love you. As long as
I love you too, man.
Just so the people know. I don't have...
Keep up the battle, because I know you're fighting a good fight. I know that.
I'm going to fight, but I don't have the tapes. You know that, right?
I know you don't, but we'll get it. We'll get it. All right.
You got me. I got you. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, brother.
Take care, pal. This is Fame is a Bitch. That phone call was taped a few days ago. And since then, I thought we had some kind of peace accord. But apparently not. Apparently, Tom's dart throwing stirred things up in the media again. After we spoke, Dylan Howard, who is the editor-in-chief and vice president of a lot of titles under AMI, called me up and asked for Tom Arnold's number so that he could have a little chat. And whatever was said on that call prompted Tom to tweet, AJ was still Harvey Weinstein's friend up until a month ago. So I said back, yeah, I was with him until I learned of those rape allegations, and then I had to turn my back on him. But I'm a good friend. When someone I love asks for help, I go and see what I can do. I said, hey, Tom, you and I are friends, even though you beat Roseanne. Crickets. And then he tweets back the next day, looks like AJ is going back to work for David Pecker. Not true. I don't work for Radar anymore. I still haven't met David Pecker. My podcast is my thing. It wasn't until I sent my final check stub showing Tom I've made $18,000 freelancing for them in 6 months. Tell me, does that sound like hush money to you? Or is that chump change? What it is an example of people not really knowing shit about you. And because you've banged around in Hollywood for 20 years, you must have big money jobs all over the place that those 9-to-5 suckers could never imagine. Let me tell you something. It's times like these that I wish I was a 9-to-5er. It's times like these I envy anybody who hasn't had a chance to know that fame is a bitch.